Okay. Well, welcome to this evening's. Welcome to this evening's budget development process presentation. I'm Dr. Tanya Thompson, the proud superintendent of the Binghamton City School District, and I'm joined here tonight with Dr. Jennifer Dove, our assistant superintendent for instruction and budget. When we set up out to develop our budget each year, we adhere to some basic practices, and we also, of course, look to first and foremost realize our district goals. Our academic and instructional excellence as first listed, which is one of our district commitments, where we wish to continue to provide a continuum of academic pathways that are going to meet and support our students' needs. We also are committed to a supportive environment where we can create a learning and working environment where each and everyone is feel valued and they can accomplish their best work. Our third commitment is to a student experience. We wish to provide each and every student with opportunities to engage in a wide variety of school experiences that not only include academic opportunities, but also co-curricular and community-based activities. And fourth is that of safety. We want to create environments where not only students, but our staff and our families feel both physically and emotionally safe. And our budget plans to do so while maintaining and enhancing our student opportunities and programs that currently exist. We also have to take into consideration and think long-term planning and how we may be using our reserves to support the continuous programming that we have in place. And we also wish to propose a fiscally sound budget that presents our taxpayers with a responsible tax levy. These three last points have been ones that we've been committed to over the past 8 years, and we have been able to do that while meeting and reaching our district goals. So I'm now going to turn it over to Dr. Dove, who's going to walk us through the overview of our budget process, and then go a little bit deeper in terms of what our anticipated expenses are and our commitments towards those expenses and some of the revenues we are anticipating. The governor held her budget presentation for the entire state today, so we anticipate hearing more about exactly what she wants to put in the executive budget to support the Binghamton City School District. But all that information is forthcoming, and I'm going to turn over to Jennifer right now, who's going to just go through the process with you and can tell you a little bit more about that.
Great. All right. So we began the budget process this fall, and we've had budget meetings with all of the principals and directors across the district in the months of November through January to determine what needs do administrators, principals, and directors foresee for the next year. And we'll take that all into account in addition with the stakeholder surveys. So the budget survey has been open and it's available, and we strongly encourage everybody to complete the survey and then to go back in. It's a thought exchange, so you can continue rating ideas. So that will be open until February 9th at midnight. Tonight is the roundtable meeting portion of the budget development process. So again, the purpose of tonight is to explain the overall process for the budget development and to highlight the dates in the timeline for developing the budget. So as Dr. Thompson shared, we're waiting for the executive budget to be passed by legislation so that we can put together our preliminary budget. At the upcoming January and February board meetings, we'll have presentations around revenue and expense projections. We'll have long range projections from Central Business Office, and then we'll look at healthcare and all of the other costs and have a projected idea. And then in March at the board meeting, will present an initial budget based on all of that information that we've analyzed and gathered. And then at the April board meeting, the board will adopt the budget for next year that they want to take out for public hearing, which will be on May 7th. And then there'll be the public vote on the budget on May 21st. So in the past, we have heavily invested for the past 8 years in social emotional well-being of students and staff. And we want to continue with that investment. So we're just showing the increased cost that we've been able to support these areas. And so now looking ahead to the 2024-2025 budget, we want to continue to sustain these social emotional learning and alternative ed programs. So funding for district alternative education programs, and then a social worker for alternative ed programs, and our restorative practice coordinators all will be continue to be sustained through the general fund. And then we'll also move some community schools coordination and programs into into our grant funds. Throughout, as I'm running through these different informational pieces, if you have any questions that you would like answered about the budget development process, please, there's a Q&A section where you can type in a question that you have, and we're monitoring that so that we can answer any questions that might be arising. A major focus for us is looking at our attendance, and we know that students coming to school is critical for student success. And so chronic absenteeism has been a major focus for us in the last few years. And as you can see by the data presented here in the chart, all of our efforts are starting to make a bit of a difference, but as you can see, that data is still pretty staggering. So we want to continue our focus on attendance, specifically reducing chronic absenteeism. So what we're proposing, based on what we've gathered so far for next year, would be 3 teaching assistants across the 7 elementary buildings to help with home visits and being able to engage with families and help students come to school. And in addition to that, 2 challenge teachers to focus on student engagement when they're in school to increase that engagement level. Then at the middle school level, 2 teaching assistants, again, to help with the home visits and help increase attendance. And then at the high school level, a clerical position to help with attendance data and analysis and knowing which students that need more support. So this next slide, we look at our expenses for 2024-2025. Our goal is to continue to support SEL and district commitments. We know that the increase in self-funded health insurance will be around 8.9% at this point of our projections. We know that we'll have contractual salary obligations per employee contracts to meet. The TSR, the teachers retirement system, and the employee retirement system, the increase will be about 9% on average over last year. And then special education and alternative education costs will be better known after February 1st when BOCES sets the rates. So that last slide was our expenses, and now this next slide is looking at our revenues for the 2024-2025 school year. So if the current law continues for 2024-2025, a significantly smaller increase in foundation aid is expected than in the past 3 years now, because the foundation aid formula has been fully implemented. And the governor mentioned that today in her address, that she's remaining committed to fully funding the foundation aid. Early projections indicate a tax levy around 2%, and an estimate to foundation aid is anywhere between 1% and 3%. And again, it's still early, but that's what we can tell from our projections thus far. our expected greater revenues as a result of expense-driven aids. We're expecting greater revenues. And we also have some unfilled positions currently. And so we'll continue to look at those unfilled positions to determine the need for them. And we'll also continue to examine class sizes as we do right along. Our ideal average is around 16 to 17, trying to maximize what we feel is best needs for students. But again, we'll have to keep a close eye on those numbers. And then another possible revenue source will be attrition through retirements as years continue. So I mentioned that we had the budget survey launched, and again, it's through Thought Exchange. The link is here, and the budget question is, what are the most important things to consider as we begin to develop next year's budget, the 2024-2025 school budget? And so you can see participation to date, and we're hoping to increase that participation. And the budget survey will be open through February 9th at midnight. These are some emerging themes that are popping out from the survey completion to date. So some of the highly rated thoughts coming out are access to mental health for students, high quality instruction, keeping high quality teachers, and most up-to-date curriculum so that students have high success, improving attendance. We know that attendance and making that homeschool connection is huge, and expanding busing, knowing that we need better supports for getting students to school. So again, the budget survey will remain open through February 9th, and the link is here. And if you've already participated, please consider going back and rating your comments. You do not have to add a new comment to participate in an ongoing manner. So in January and February, we begin to build the three-part budget: the administrative part, the program part, and the capital components. And so this three-part budget is what the community will be voting on May 21st. So salaries and benefits is a very significant portion of the budget. So a first draft of salary projections will be provided, and then we will, based on stakeholder input and priorities and fiscal realities, review what we can do moving forward. And then the budget projection will be built based on projected salaries and benefits that are built into the budget projection. We'll look at program and BOCES and debt service budgets. So the program budget is prepared by building in expenditure projections. The BOCES budget is prepared. Administrators submit to district final requests for services for BOCES services. And again, services that we get through BOCES are aid generated. We get aid back on those services. So that is helpful for our district budget. And then the Central Business Office prepares the debt service budget, which is based on a schedule of payments over time. So in February, we'll have the projected expenditures. We'll have 4 years of expenditures. Central Business Office helps us to analyze those ongoing throughout the year and finalized next month. We'll have projected revenues. The governor's executive budget will be available. We'll hopefully the analysis of the state aid with the Central Business Office will look at what we're getting from the state, and we'll look at the analysis of expenditures to our revenues to determine what we're able to do moving forward. So in March through May, the board will provide feedback on the initial draft of the budget on March 19th. And then the budget presentation for the board on April 16th will be the budget that the board will adopt to take out to the voters. And the budget hearing, which gives an overview of that three-part budget that I just breezed through, takes place on May 7th. And then the actual budget vote will take place on May 21st. So again, just a recap of the budget development timeline and overview. The survey is open through February 9th at midnight. The governor's budget proposal is coming out, and then we will be finalizing the district program costs and expenditures in January and February, really analyzing our expenses and our revenues and our projected costs for next year. And then in March, we'll have the draft budget presentation. On April 16th, the board will vote on a final budget. And then May 7th is the budget public hearing. And then May 21st is the budget vote. So at this point, if anyone has any questions that they're coming to mind, you can put those in the Q&A box. And again, we strongly encourage you to click on the link for the thought exchange for the budget survey. And if you've already completed it, you can always go back in and add more thoughts and or just rate the thoughts that you're reviewing.
Thank you, Jennifer. I just want to thank everyone for coming out tonight to listen to this. We will, as I said, any questions or continued thoughts, please, we encourage you to complete the thought exchange. We're recording tonight's presentation, and we know we went through a lot of information, and so we'll be posting that on our website. It can be found by going to our district website, binghamtonschools.org, and going to the Board of Education. You'll see on the left-hand side the word budget. By selecting that, you'll see the 24-25 budget process link there. We're not only we'll post this presentation along with a slide presentation, and if any questions and are emerge from this evening, we will start to develop a Q&A document and post that as well. I see that someone has placed a question that I'm gonna, since it's posted, I'll take advantage of just answering this openly. It says, how else can we support Roosevelt budget requests? Thank you. So I believe what the individuals asking specifically about is the request to the governor. Originally, a bill went through supported by our senator, who have an Assemblywoman Lepardo, to access 2 times what's called the maximum cost allowance up front. School districts are allowed to access support based on numbers of pupils served in classrooms to get capital aid through the state. That's how we're able to afford the maintenance of our buildings. What we need in order to do a renovation and a rebuild is to get 2 5-year chunks of money, if you will, up front. The bill was not supported by the governor, although in the veto statement, she indicated that through this budgeting season, she was going to be looking to support that. Our legislators are hard at work right now and trying to work with the governor's office to identify exactly what their commitment is. I assure you, I'm taking the lead of our Assemblywoman and our senator, who will be reaching out, and I'm in regular contact with them when we need to be collectively supporting whatever they're able to advocate for. We certainly will reach out to the community and ask for your support, and maybe in the form of letter writing, signing petitions, or making phone calls and sending emails to the governor's office. But I assure you we'll engage the community when the time is appropriate. We just need to wait until see what she has to say first in terms of her commitment. But again, our legislators and the district is certainly intending to keep the governor true to her word. Thank you for the question. Okay, with that, I will say thank you thank you all, each and everyone, for coming this evening. Again, you can find the recording of this along with the PowerPoint presentation. It should be posted within the next 48 hours on the school district's website. Thank you, and have a safe and enjoyable evening.
Night, everyone.